Welcome to our Thursday night live stream. I'm Joe, and I'm one half of Two Crazy Ketos. And unfortunately, Rachel's not with us tonight, so sorry, probably won't be as much fun without Rachel, but hopefully we can still answer some questions about keto and carnivore and all that kind of stuff. So, welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, this is our Thursday live stream. Our Thursday live streams are really our chance to just hang out with our community and answer questions about keto and carnivore. So if you have a question, go ahead and type question and then whatever your question is, or use the super chat function, which we really appreciate. That's the little dollar sign that's down below in the window. And when you do that, it helps benefit the channel, which we greatly appreciate. But more importantly, it actually highlights our screen so I don't miss the question. We do try to answer as many questions as possible. And like I said, I'm going to have you guys kind of drive the chat today. We'll go for the normal hour unless the chat is kind of dead because Rachel's not here because she's the fun one. But if you guys have a bunch of questions or have something you want to talk about, I will be happy to answer as many questions and go as long as we can. So if you're curious, why Rachel isn't here is because she is over with John Paul and Michelle. And we got a very unexpected phone call on Tuesday. We were working in the house, and somewhere around 4:30, 5 o'clock, we got a phone call from John Paul. It's like, hey, I need you guys to bring the RV over because Michelle's in labor. And so it was kind of a shock. She was about 2 weeks early, and I was like, there's a little problem. We are living in our RV, and in order for me to bring the RV over, I need a couple of hours because I would have to put everything away, pull in the slides, hook everything up, and then also move some of my clothes and that kind of stuff into the house. I could just throw a mattress down on the floor so that Rachel could stay in the RV over there. And so what we ended up doing was Rachel just went over there. I went over yesterday and saw Rachel and saw the baby, but Rachel's over helping them out with, being a new mom or, with a second child, especially now that it's a second child, just helping around the house, doing whatever she can. So I wanted to just show you guys a picture. Super excited. This is now our second grandbaby, and this is Parker. And Parker was born on Tuesday night, probably about 20 minutes or so before Rachel got there. So she left here. It's about a 2-hour drive, and they called about 20 minutes before she actually got there and said, hey, welcome to Parker. Here's another picture of Michelle with Parker yesterday. She is a beautiful little girl. So excited to have another grandbaby, and Peyton is super excited. So, Peyton is just like, I'm gonna potty train this baby. Like she was running around yesterday going, Mommy gave me a baby sister. And so then really excited for it. So so that's where Rachel is. She's gonna come back over tomorrow to help me with some things in the house. I know she's got some plans for Saturday. I think she is still planning on going up, hanging out with a bunch of the 2KK family up in Orlando. And then she's going to go back over there to sometime next week. So again, if you have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and type them in the chat. I'll see what's going on here in the chat right now. So, and John, it was funny because John Paul was like, okay, I think we're done. And I'm like, everybody says that on the first day. Everybody says it on the first day. I'm like, no, boy. He was like, I'm not going to get a boy. He was like, my luck, it's just going to be another girl. We actually have a set of friends that they have 6 children, and he kept going for it. They had one boy, and he really wanted another boy and just kept getting girls. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, everybody is doing well. Larry is here, said, good, terrific Thursday evening, Joe, Rachel, and 2KK family. Thanks, Joe and Rachel, for highlighting my post on Keto Beyond the Couch. I love you guys, and I love this community. Sabrina said, good evening to Crazy Ketos family. Got our evening walking around the campground. Just came in from about 30 minutes of playing badminton. Got 31 volleys in with the birdie. We'll try to improve on that tomorrow. That's better than me. That is not my forte. Aaron said you guys should travel to Buffalo or Niagara Falls for a meetup someday. Yeah, we would love to. We're trying to make our plans of what we want to do next year. So speaking of that, we will be in Texas. I guess it'd be Western Texas. I don't see Chris here, so I don't have the information right in front of me. But we will be over there towards the end of October for the Liquefied Rally. And so I know that ourselves and Chris and Miriam, who are also going, we're going to arrange a meetup over in that area. I think it's about 15 hours or so from here. I know it's about an hour and a half away from like the Houston kind of area. So we'll get all that information. We'll post it over in our Mighty Networks group. So we're going to do that. We definitely want to get something up further north next year. Also, while I'm thinking about it, I just wanted to let you know, for everybody that's going on the 2KK cruise, I started sending out invoices today. It takes a long time for me to send the invoices because I got to go through each one. I got to verify that everything is right. Some people asked for me to have their prepaid gratuities or travel protection. So I have to go back into Royal Caribbean's website and check all that. And then each invoice has to be individually filled out and sent over. So be on the lookout for that. If you are going on the cruise and you want me to just use the credit card that you use for your deposit, just send me an email and I can let you know exactly what you owe. That would definitely help because if you just say, hey, I just want you to use the same credit card that you used last time, I do have that on an encrypted file. And so if you do that, I don't have to do so much paperwork. And if you want to know how much you owe, just let me know. Just send me an email at 2kktravel@gmail.com. Let me know, hey, I want to know what I owe. You can go ahead and use the same card. And that would be a real big help. But for those of you who are going on the cruises, I'm doing the second leg first. So the one that is December 8th through the 11th, I'm processing the invoices on that one first because silly, but that one has the final payment due first. So the final payment due for that one is September the 8th, whereas the other one is September the 18th. And so I'm processing that one first because we have about 2 weeks, and I always like to make sure it's done well ahead of time. So when you get that invoice, if you can just do me a favor and fill it out as quickly as possible, get it back over to me because, again, it takes some time to process it all, and we want to make sure that everything's right. If you wanted to have travel protection and we need to add that in, because if you don't add travel protection in before final payment date, you have to go with an outside company. Now, some people are going with outside companies, but we use Lyons a lot of times because that would cover your airfare and you could do one rate for both cruises, be about the same amount of money. But in addition to that, you're getting your airfare and stuff like that covered. Sean said, any recommendations for excursions on the second leg? I honestly haven't looked. Rachel and I don't do a lot of excursions when we go on the cruises. We like to, especially on the 2KK cruise, we like to visit, we get off, we like to walk around the ports, and sometimes we'll do things on our own, but I really haven't looked at them. So I'll see if I can look at them later on tonight or tomorrow while I'm kind of laying down. But I know, Sean, you are all paid. I remember looking at some of them and I thought they were pretty good. Let's see. Let's go back up so that I don't miss anything. Lynn said, congrats on the new granddaughter. Yeah, Oma is in her joy right now. She is just so happy. I read Aaron's. Sean said, I have a friend who had 2 girls and he and his wife decided to try one more time and got twin girls. I don't think John Paul would be very happy with that. Lynn said, I made your yogurt recipe last night. It is so good. I absolutely love our yogurt recipe. Donna Joe said, need to cook whole chicken for the cat so I don't have to buy canned. Best and easiest way. Crock pot or Instapot. Because Now, I know my sister, I think, actually feeds the chicken, the raw to the cats. But I would say the easiest way is going to be in an Instapot, because this way you can just kind of shred it. And even if there's a couple of bones in there in an Instapot, those bones are just going to fall apart and it wouldn't hurt the cats or anything. So that's what I would do, is just go into an Instapot. Tracy said, caught a live stream live. I don't post much, but generally appreciate the channel. Well, thank you, Tracy. Welcome here. Donna Joe said, Central Texas, south of Austin. Yes, thank you very much, Donna. Bill said, Aaron laughing hard because the meetup words were hidden behind the heart icon, and instantly my mind finished the sentence so John Paul could have a boy. Mary said a group RV trip would be awesome. We're looking into doing like a 2-day or 3-day rally / meetup at a campground. But what we want to do is find a place where if you have an RV, you can bring an RV. But if you don't have an RV, they would have cabins or local hotels. And so Rachel has been in the middle of trying to find all of that kind of stuff. And we're looking at doing it like the spring or sometime of next year. We were supposed to be going on a cruise in March with some other YouTubers in the camping thing. And we ended up deciding to not go because we didn't have a lot of subscribers going. And so for us, we were like, financially, it would be better for us to just hold that money back and do something where we can hang out with a bunch of subscribers. So I kind of wish we were going because, it would have been a lot of fun. But for us, it's all about community. And I understand why a lot of people didn't want to go, because it wasn't like it's just a bunch of keto people. It was camping people and stuff. So Penny said, have you seen Dr. Barry's commotion about the carnivore children? I know that they were featured in the Wall Street Journal, but I honestly, with everything going on yesterday, I didn't get a chance to read the article. So you'll have to educate me on the commotion. So knowing mainstream media, I'm sure it's not a good article, but you never know. But I know Dr. Barry's been posting it, so I don't think it can't be that bad. Beth said, thank you both for what you do. You're welcome. Andrew said, are you trying to tell me that today is Thursday? Aaron, can you use KetoChow after the expiration date? I came across some that I forgot all about. Absolutely. Okay. So for those of you who are new to KetoChow, so KetoChow for many years had a 3-year best by date. And that's one thing to make sure you're aware of. Very few things in the United States have expiration dates when it comes to food. You have best by dates, but not expiration dates. The one food product that I know for bottom sure that has an expiration date is baby formula. Baby formula has an expiration date, but most foods have a sell by or a best by date. And the thing is that those dates a lot of times get determined by the company that makes the product or even the grocery store and sometimes the state. For example, milk, every state determines what the best by date is of milk. So you can have in California, and I don't remember the exact numbers, so I apologize for that. But like in California, it could be 8 days. I know it's a short amount in California. So like milk has the best by date of only like 8 or 9 days. Whereas in Florida, it could be 15 days. Same exact milk. It's just that the store or the state determines what that is. Years ago, Rachel worked at Aldi and they would get like frozen pizzas and then they would put them out and they stamped the date. They in the store, they would just put the date on, and she said many times they would go change the date. So if after a day or two it didn't sell, they would literally rip the date off and put a new date on. So it's just a recommended freshness date or best by date. When it comes to KetoChow, they had for years, it was 3 years from the date of packing where that was the best by date. And what that best by date did was that 3 years ensured that you were going to get 100% of the potency of vitamins. If you remember back to science class, you have like half-lives where after a certain amount of time, medications and things like that can start getting less potent. Well, they had it at 3 years because they had tested the product for 3 years to see how long would the vitamins be good. And so they did a test for 3 years, and at 3 years, it was still 100%. What happened was, I guess about a year and a half ago, they were able to extend that. They had found some old bags and had those bags tested. And when they had those bags tested, they were still good. So now, depending on what the date is, and unfortunately Chris isn't here, but depending on what the date is on there, if it's like if the best by date was like a year ago, you can safely add 2 more years to that to get 100% potency on the vitamins and the minerals that are in there. Now, if you're even beyond that, the KetoChow is not going to get you sick. It's just that there's a chance that the vitamins, you're not going to get 100% of the vitamins and the or the vitamins and the minerals that are in there absorbed into your body. But that's kind of like anything you eat, right? So if you go get, fruits and vegetables and things like that in the store, they tell you it's got this much potassium or this much calcium, but that doesn't mean that's how much your body is absorbing. Like, again, we talk about this all the time. Vegetables do not have the nutrition that people think they do because we are farming on minerally depleted land. So if you have something like broccoli and it's supposed to have X amount of potassium, that would be in a perfect world. But that's not the case in most of the stuff we're buying. So if you have something that's older like that, go ahead and use it. It just means that you may not get 100% of the vitamins and the minerals absorbed into your body. So that's something to just think about. If it's not your sole source of nutrition, then I wouldn't even worry about it. But it's definitely not going to get you sick. Let's see. Donna Joe, thanks about the chicken. My picky cats don't like raw anymore. Funny, they were raised on raw beef. Oh. Sandy said, I saw Dr. Berry's interview on the news this morning. Yeah, I am so far behind. Donna Joe said Dr. Berry had a live about the interviews. I'm going to have to go watch those tonight. Lolo said, congrats, Rachel and Joe, on the new grandbaby. Hey, it was easy for us. We just got a phone call and went over there. I mean, I'm so proud of Michelle. She did a phenomenal job. John Paul Michelle produced a beautiful baby. She gave birth at home, and I know that it was very, very quick, and so I'm super excited for them. Sabrina said the news segment on the national news was really short, so not much detail. They also had a pediatrician that mentioned the concern of not getting enough vitamin C or fiber, mainstream medicine. Yeah. Listen, people say like, oh, vitamin C, you're going to get, gangrene and, you're going to get scurvy. Your body has ways of adjusting for that when you're just consuming a lot of meat. I haven't had anything that's very high in vitamin C in 8 years, and I am doing just fine. Donna Joe said it was a Fox News interview. Dr. Siegel is an internist and doesn't even treat children as patients. Wow. Eileen said, I'm going to start the Dr. Sean O'Mara 30-day visceral fat reduction protocol. I'm not familiar with that. I'm excited to give it my all, but sorry, it doesn't include KetoChow. That's okay. KetoChow is definitely not a necessary thing. I like it because in my busy times, I'm able to use it. But again, as I say all the time, it should not be your sole source of nutrition. It is a better thing than going to McDonald's or things like that, but it shouldn't be your sole source of nutrition. Speaking of which, if you didn't see on the channel today, we unboxed the KetoChow August box, and we're giving the box away, but we're trying something different. So on YouTube, when we were doing giveaways before, we were getting all kinds of scammers, and we would say, just leave a comment in the comment section, and then somebody would come in and try to like get your information. And then also when we did get a winner, a lot of times we never heard back from the winner because they didn't have notifications turned on. So what we're doing is we have set up a giveaway in our Mighty Networks group. So if you head over to Mighty Networks, if you're not a member, go join. It's completely free, members.2krazyketos.com. Go over there and join, and then just do a search for the KetoChow giveaway. And then there's a little form that you fill out, and that'll enter you into the giveaway, which is going to run for a week. The way we've done it too is you have chances to get extra entries. So when you fill out your name and your email address, you're going to get an entry, but then you can get more entries by doing things like subscribing to our camping channel, subscribing to our homesteading channel. If you go watch a video that we have listed on there, if you go like our Instagram page, you can get more entries for that. So we're going to try this out and see if this works. And hopefully it does, because we like to do giveaways, but we also don't want people getting scammed. And I also want to be able to give it actually away. Donna Joe said, gotta go. Everyone have a great weekend. Bye, Joe. Madonna. Sean said, Shell and I are thinking about driving down to Miami for the second leg. We're thinking about stopping in Orlando on Friday and Saturday, wondering if any Central Florida ketos want to meet up for dinner on Saturday. I would definitely message, but I can tell you a lot of them are going on both legs. So I know that like Sarah G is going on both legs. I guess not a lot. Sarah and Matt will be around, but I know Nancy is going. So I would definitely go and post and hit them up and see if anybody wants to hang out. Sandy said, I saw Dr. Berry on with Dana Perino. She seemed on board with it due to her ranching family background. Oh, okay. Lolo said, any idea or knowledge of Labadee replacement? I'd like it to be Coco K. I've been to Nassau too many times. I don't think they're going to go to Nassau. I can almost guarantee you they won't go to Nassau. I haven't heard anything yet. I'm expecting that they'll make an announcement for December or before the end of the month, and that kind of falls in line with where they've been doing it. It might be Coco K. I haven't looked and see what other ships. Coco K can handle 2 ships, and so if they already have 2 ships there, they wouldn't do it that way. It definitely wouldn't be Nassau, because Nassau already, it has to be booked out so many, like so many months or a couple of years in advance, because every ship goes to Nassau. And we've been in Nassau where there was like 7 or 8 ships there at the same time. So, but it could be Dominican Republic. There's a few other places, but we haven't heard anything yet. Andrew said, KetoChow is great for me in Nome for many reasons, such as volcanic eruption grounds flights for 3 days and the store shelves are empty. That's only happened once this week. Ooh. Katie, is KetoChow core beef protein? Yes. So the regular KetoChow, which it's on the floor or something. The original KetoChow is a milk protein isolate. And so that is a milk protein, and then the KetoChow core, and that's sweetened with sucralose. It's a pure sucralose, and then the KetoChow core is made with beef protein, and it's sweetened with stevia, or you can get it unsweetened. So for those of you who are looking for like a beef protein, sometimes you'll see like Equip, which we have a discount code for down below. Equip and KetoChow use the same exact beef protein. The difference is with KetoChow and Equip is that KetoChow is adding in the vitamins and the electrolytes, whereas the Equip is literally just the beef protein with whatever flavor it is. Okay, let's see. Don't see any more comments here. So I need you guys to keep the chat going. I don't talk as much as Rachel. Let's see, Shell and I. Yeah, Sean, I wish that we would have been in town, but yeah, we'll be on the other leg of the cruise. But I know that Matt and Sarah will be in town. So I'm sure they would love to hook up with you up there as well. Matt, speaking of, Matt said I had to take apart the hot end of my bamboo P1S because the filament wasn't feeding. Found a piece of filament broken inside the nozzle. All fixed and back to running. I had to do the same thing. In fact, I still haven't done it. I just swapped nozzles and said I'll deal with it later. That's what happens is sometimes it breaks off in there and then it can't. The only way I found that I was able to do it was with like a little tiny butane torch and kind of heat up the hot end so that I can get it out. Katie said, is milk protein isolate the same as whey protein? I'm trying to help a friend. So milk protein isolate has both whey and casein protein. It's not a flat out whey protein. It's both proteins that you would find in the milk. It digests a little bit better. Terry D, Mighty Network question. If you compose a post under home, where does it go? There is not an option to post in the 2KK family. So if you post in home, it shows up in everybody's general feed. You can post in the 2KK family, but you have to actually go and join. You have to go log into that group and then make the post. So that's why I always tell people when you log into Mighty Networks, and we're going to try to make another video kind of going over because we have a lot of new people. But I always like to click on the home button because if I click on the home button, then I can see everything. Maybe I can pull this up. Hold on a minute. Let's see. Okay. So if we go to, I don't know if I'm logged in. There we go. Okay. So if you log into Mighty Networks and you come over here, when you first log in, either press feed. If you press the feed, this is everything that I'm subscribed to. So any group posts in any groups or anything like that. So you can either go to your feed or you can go to home. So home is the main page, but that's why I always like to just come over here to feed. And this way I can see everything. Because for example, if you just are stuck in say family keto like this, if you're logged into family keto, you're only going to see posts that are inside of family keto. Whereas again, if I go over here to feed, you can see every single one of these. But what you're talking about, Terry, so if I go over here to like the family group and I click on here, that's where you can share a post. See right here where it says share a post. If I share a post, if I type here, then it would share it only in the family group. So hopefully that helps out a little bit. Matt said today's 3D print just finished. Did a cosplay mask for my daughter. I'm trying to change up the way I do my 3D printing. Rachel and I have recently switched the house over to time of use for the electric because our electric bill has been over $500. So we're trying to lower that bill. And so the way it works here in Florida for this time of the year, the peak time is from 12 to 9 at night. And so any electricity we use from 12 to 9 at night, we have to pay 23 cents a kilowatt. But anything that we use from 9 at night until 11:59 a.m. the next day, and then also on the weekends, we only pay 8 cents a kilowatt. So I'm trying to make all of my 3D printing during off-peak hours. I'm not doing a great job at that yet. I just keep forgetting I got to go start a print so that because I want to print a bunch of things. And I just keep forgetting to actually turn the printer on, but I don't want to print them during the day because the 3D printer will use a lot of electricity. We've had that for almost, I guess it's a week now that we've had the time of use. And so I've been really monitoring our electric usage. And based on my calculations of what I've seen so far, because every day you can go in to FPL's website and see the day before, and you can see like where is your electric usage, and it tells you exactly how much you used each hour. We're on track to have cut our electric bill by about $200 if we can keep this up. It's learning to only do your laundry at night or up before 12 o'clock in the afternoon, charging the Tesla overnight. Things like that is that we just have to make sure we're really on top of, like running the AC in the house at 78 degrees, 79 degrees during the day. Right now, we don't care about the night because we're not sleeping in there. And then in the RV, what we're doing is we're completely unplugging from shore power during the day and running only on solar power. And then at 9 o'clock at night, I charge up the batteries to whatever the solar didn't hit. And it really, really has helped us. So hopefully I can figure out how to fit my 3D printing back in there. Okay. Terry said, family, and there is no option. Does home go there? So, yeah, no. Home, if you want to post, like I just showed your family, you got to go to family and then make a post there. You should have a post. I'll have to look at it like under my test account too. Liz said, everyone, we had sliders from the local HEB on the Blackstone. They were amazing. Aaron said, about 140 days into my carnivore journey, every day is day one. Just make it through the day. That has helped. That is the best way to do it. Sandy said, I add a quick protein powder to my KetoChow shakes when I need a bit more protein for a day. That is a good way to do it. I like to add eggs because that'll give me a bunch of protein. Let's see. Terry said, when I log into 2 K's of Ketos family, there's no compose option. I'll have to look at that. I'll look at it when we get off. Aaron said, do I still officiate? Yes, I'm right now I'm only doing lacrosse. I was going to do football this year. I thought about going and joining the local association. The problem is I don't want to drive a lot. And I really wanted to focus on getting the house done. We've gotten a lot done. I'm kind of at an impasse right now with doors because I didn't realize when I was rebuilding the house, I didn't realize they had weird door sizes. If I would have realized that, I would have reframed the doors. But now I'm in a situation of I can't buy standard doors and I can't find anything to fit. And so I'm trying to decide, do I want to cut into the sheetrock and try to reframe a couple of doors? There's a couple that I can't. But I'm trying to decide what I want to do. But I opted to not do football this year, but I still do lacrosse. Lacrosse is my passion. I always loved football, but our association that I was a part of when I was in Fort Lauderdale, I just didn't like the route that they took. They got really too serious and made it not fun. And I was even looking at some of the emails because I'm still on their email list of all of these things they have now. Like if you're going to a TV game, you have to show up in like a suit or in a shirt and tie and slacks. And I'm like, nobody's looking at the officials. We talked about this the other day. And I'm like, you're just not making it fun anymore. Having to show up at a game 2 hours prior to a game is not it's not like we made a lot of money. We got $100 to do a football game. You want me to show up to a game 2 hours prior, spend 3 hours officiating a football game, and then another half hour or so home for $100? I mean, I love the sport, but like I have a lot of things that need to get done. The reason I didn't do it here is because I'm not like 10 minutes from every football game like I was in Fort Lauderdale. Here we would have one here in DeSoto County, and then everything else would be an hour drive. And I just didn't want to give up like half of my Friday and half of my Thursday every week right now. I also like would not be able to do Thursday night games because we have our live streams. Let's see. Aaron said, how much power does your 3D printer use? I haven't measured it in a while, but they do use a decent amount depending on what you're printing. It really comes down to what you print. If you're printing with PLA, it's going to use a little bit less power than if I'm printing with ABS or PETG, which is what I print a lot of things in because those require higher temperatures. But you have to have the bed running. So I'm going to have to measure it. I do have some meters that can measure it, but I'm going to assume that a print is going to probably use a couple of kilowatts at least. If Chris Bear was here, he would probably know the answer to that. Let's see. Lady Fritzer, it is my birthday today, but Rachel is not here. Well, I'm a horrible singer, but I can sing to you. So, let's go. Are you ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Lady Fritzer. Happy birthday to you. Again, I am a horrible singer. That's why I don't sing and I don't dance. Matt said I designed a functional piece for Nancy and got it printed. It worked on the first try. Donna, what do you think of using cream cheese instead of butter for keto core? It will work very well. I use cream cheese in regular KetoChow. I've never thought about using it in the core. Most people who are using core because they want the beef protein because they don't want the dairy, and then you're using dairy again. But will it work? Absolutely, and I think it would make it really delicious. Trissa doing fairly well. 3 sessions with the new acupuncture treatment. I'm very hopeful for my leg. We're going to miss you on our cruise, Trish. Sandy said, I make an easy KetoChow core pudding by blooming beef gelatin, then heating it a bit and adding it to warm water and melted butter and pouring into 2 bowls. That sounds delicious. Let me turn that off. Teresa, off topic, but I bought the Brooklyn bedding mattress. Best night's sleep ever. Thank you for the reviews of it. I love Brooklyn bedding. We have the one that we have one in our RV. We have the Sedona Elite in our RV, and then in the house we will go back to our other one. I would really love to buy us another Sedona Elite, but we can't afford that. And then we have the one that was in the old RV that we saved that will go into our spare room. It is an amazing sleep. Aaron said, I'm on similar pricing scheme for electricity, but the price changes hour by hour. You might want to look at putting up an Emporia View 3 in your electrical panel and you can monitor usage in real time. Okay, I'm going to have to look at that. Emporia View 3. I'm going to screenshot that because I'm going to forget. My plan is, I told Rachel, what I really want to do is, I know that the solar tax credit starts going down after this year. So I told Rachel what I'm thinking about doing is towards the end of the year, maybe getting everything I need for my solar and trying to install it very quickly so that I can get that full 30% solar tax credit, because that would really, really help us. It wouldn't be that much work for me to get the battery and the inverter system set up into it. The problem is the solar panels, and I finally decided that we are not going to put solar panels on the roof. What I want to do is I want to build a carport, like right where we had the old RV over all of the white rocks. If you ever see them in the videos, build like a giant carport that can hold like 3 cars or probably but 2 deep, and then line the entire top of that with solar panels. But I know that I can do the solar system myself for a fraction of the cost of what it would be if you went with the Tesla Powerwall or one of the other companies. I'm figuring for the system that I want to build so that I can pretty much stay off grid, like stay connected to FPL, but not have to use their electricity except for if we had a long time with no sun. I'm figuring it would be about $10,000 to $12,000, which I know like the Tesla Powerwall is like $40,000 is the price that I got from them. Stacy said, we have 5 great granddaughters we call our Vals: Amelia, Elsie, Ilsa, Oakley, and Ulissa. I had a dream they finally had a boy, Yarly. T. Lewis, how are the chickie babies? I've not seen a video of them lately. Not even from the farm channel. I'm actually editing a video for the farm channel today. I started working on it. So we lost a couple of chickens to hawks, and then we fixed that problem. They were like kind of skittish chickens that kind of went off to their own. These were chickens that for like when we raised them up, they were just always very, very skittish. And so they kind of stayed off in like their own group. There were about 7 of them, and they didn't stay with the rest of the flock. So that means they weren't always with a rooster. We lost 2 to hawks. We lost 1 to old age. We still have about 25 or 26 chickens. Last week, we sold all the rest of the skittish ones at auction. And then we sold a couple of turkeys. I think we sold 4 turkeys last week. And then we still have about 23 turkeys. And right now we are hatching out a bunch more babies that will kind of replenish the flock, especially the ones that we sold off. So when we were going out, I don't remember where we were heading out to, but we had a bunch of eggs. And when we had the eggs, Rachel had cracked open a bunch of eggs, and they all had like babies, like where they'd been fertilized and been sat on for a few days. And what we realized that we went through this period where it was so hot that you needed to get the eggs within a day or so. Otherwise, they immediately started incubating outside, even if nobody was sitting on them. And so we had a whole bunch that we candled them all, and it looked like they had babies that were probably about a week old. So it takes 21 days to hatch out a baby. And so we put them all in the incubator, and they're all hatching out right now. But it's funny, they're all at like different times. Usually when you put stuff in an incubator, they all hatch out like in the same day or so. But they were all like at different points in their incubation. So they're just slowly hatching out. I think we've got about 16 or 17. And then we'll let them grow up a little bit and then decide which ones we're going to keep and then which ones we're going to sell. And we also have 50 meat birds that we have to process in about 3 or 4 weeks. But other than that, no, everybody is doing really good. We're in the process of trying to find Kuni pigs. Let's see. Lady Fritzer said, I'll have to clip that singing segment. Trish said, men who don't dance are missing out on one of the easiest, surefire ways to get stars in their woman's eyes. I would probably agree, except for I'm a horrible dancer. I have no rhythm. I'm a horrible dancer, and then add in my ankle, and I don't have the range of motion, and it's just not a pretty sight. So I find other ways to put stars in Rachel's eyes, like emptying out the chicken coop and doing things that she doesn't expect me. I did something the other day, and she's like, "Oh, now that," she's like, that's exciting to me," and it was something silly. Like I like to find little things like that like I know that she really would appreciate. Trish said we're gonna miss everybody going on the cruise too. We will be coming home from 20 plus days in Europe and then a grand crossing. Let's see. Lady Fritz said also put their hands on their woman, another fun way, right? Okay, we're not going there. John said, just got here. Rachel's still visiting the new grandbaby. Yes, Rachel is helping out with household chores, with the baby, different things like that. And then also with Peyton, because, obviously, this is a first for Peyton. She is very clingy to Michelle. I mean, she loves her new baby sister, but she also wants to be right on top of Michelle. But Michelle just had a baby. And so, Rachel is at least able there to kind of, keep her interested in things and help cleaning the house and things like that. Matt said, how long can you do alternate day fasting without a break? What do you mean by how long can you do it? I mean, you can do it as long as you want to do it. The only thing I always tell people to do if you're going to do alternate day fasting, the idea behind alternate day fasting is to really help with autophagy, to get that long period of time where you're not consuming anything, which really helps with autophagy, which really helps with getting into a deeper state of ketosis. But you have to be careful about under eating. So on the day that you're eating, you should be consuming enough food. So if you're used to like looking at macros and saying like I'm eating 140 grams of protein in a day, if you're doing alternate day fasting, then on that day that you're actually consuming food, you should be consuming enough food that would be close to 2 days worth of food. And that's where people can struggle with alternate day fasting. So if you looked at it calorically, let's say you were eating 2,000 calories a day. If you're alternate day fasting, on the day that you're fasting, you're eating nothing. But on the day that you're feasting, you would be eating 3,500 to 4,000 calories because you still want to keep your metabolism up. If you consume just that like 2,000 calories, now you're only consuming 2,000 calories every other day, you'll lose some weight. But very, very quickly, you're going to end up in a stall because you're under eating and you're not getting enough protein and enough nutrition. Aaron said, I've always wanted to try turkey and ostrich eggs. We've had the turkey eggs. They're really good. They're very rich. The reason we don't eat them is because we can sell them for $5 to $10 an egg. At the beginning of the laying season, we were getting $9 and $10 an egg. Last week, we got $4 an egg. So it's coming down to because people in the area have a lot of turkeys. And so, they're only really buying turkey eggs to hatch them out. And so, it's just it's that weird time of the year where prices at auction aren't as good as like earlier in the year or later in the year. But that's why we really haven't consumed them, because like I can eat them. But the girls are kind of coming down to not laying anymore. Like we've gotten a few, but not nearly as many as we used to. They only lay for about 4 months out of the year. And ostrich eggs are just really expensive. Liz said, "Is this gross? But can you actually eat them?" Yeah, they're delicious. They're slightly bigger than chicken eggs. They're not like as big as an ostrich egg. They're just expensive. Mary said, "Don't throw out hearts and liver. I will buy some." Yeah, no, we're gonna keep the hearts and the livers with these this year. John said, "Turkeys don't lay often enough, and ostriches are like $50 each." Or was that emu all edible but not worth the cost? The emu eggs by us, because I would love to hatch out emu eggs, but I'm not willing to take the gamble of buying an egg that they say is fertilized and not have it hatch out. They've been selling for $75 to $100 an egg here. And the ostrich eggs are between $50 to $100 too. Just depends on where they are at the auction. Trish said, "Interested to meet up at Niagara Falls in September or mid-October." We definitely can't do it this year. We are going on Star of the Seas. I checked in at this morning. We're going on Star of the Seas the last week of September, and then we're going to Texas for a rally in October. Sean said, "I've had goose eggs before. The thing was huge. I made one heck of an omelet." Vicky said, "Will you ever have ducks in your pond?" We go back and forth about ducks. The problem with ducks is they're super dirty. I mean, if you think chickens are dirty, ducks are even dirtier. Um, and we've been trying to talk to people and investigate ducks, but everyone says that you really have to train them well to go back. They don't necessarily like to go back to their chicken coop at night. One of the things about chickens, I think chickens are super easy. You're going to see other people say they're not easy, but I think they're so easy. We have less than an hour of chores a day with all of the animals we have on the farm. Chickens are the easiest because all we have to do is go and make sure they have clean water, which I actually have a big self-watering system. So I have a 55-gallon drum that feeds into bowls for them. So that's just making sure that that's got water in it. And then giving them feed to supplement from their free ranging, which I don't have to do a lot. Every couple days we go and top off the feed. And then other than that, collecting eggs, because they put themselves to sleep and they get up in the morning and they come out of their coop, they put themselves to sleep. You don't have to do anything. Turkeys are very similar, except for the turkeys don't like to put themselves to sleep. They'll start kind of coming back around, like they know it's time to go back in. We like to put them away somewhere around 6 or 7 o'clock, whereas the chickens will stay out until it's dark. The turkeys, we have to round them up because they'll go in a tree at night. So they'll start gathering, and then we have to kind of shoo them on. We just kind of walk, and you'll see us like we'll walk. I have like a big PVC pipe to kind of direct them, because if it's just me, like I just hold it like this and I walk behind them, and they all will start skirting in there. But if we don't do that, they'll put themselves in trees. And everybody says the same thing with ducks is they won't put themselves back home at night. And if they're not going to do that, then I worry about them leaving. You have to clip their wings. I don't want to have to clip their wings. And I don't want to worry about predators. But the biggest thing is from everybody I've talked to says they're just very, very dirty. But you can get $10 a dozen for duck eggs. T. Lewis, intermittent fasting on 18 and 6. Is it determined to change the 2 meal a day from noon and evening to morning to noon, like overnight? My schedule is changing, so it's more. I think changing it up is always best. Now, there's a lot more research that shows that having your meals in the morning and the early afternoon is better than the afternoon and the night. Just because you're more active, so you can burn off that fuel that you've consumed, and then you're still going all day long. So there's a lot more research that's showing that those are actually the better times to eat than not eating until like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, having your last meal around 7 or 8 o'clock, and then not eating again in the morning. So I am a proponent of switching it up. Do the morning and the afternoon for a while, and then do the afternoon for the evening. Your body likes change. One of the best things you can do though is not eating after dark. So if your schedule is changing, I would definitely look into changing it. And I think that you'll definitely, if you've been eating the same way for a while, a lot of times it kind of sparks new things happening and it helps to like get rid of some of the stalls. Trish said, I think a potluck picnic at Terrapin Point, Goat Island would be nice. Let's see. Congratulations to you both. Thank you, Bet. Don't see any more questions. So what time is it? 9:20. So if you guys don't have any more questions, we'll get off. But if you have questions, I'll be happy to stay on for a little bit longer. Let's see. Yeah, the other thing about ducks is Rachel, that everybody that I've talked to has said that one of the best ducks for your farm would be Muscovy ducks, but Rachel doesn't like Muscovy ducks. Trish said that's on the other side of the falls, Joe. I don't know that on the American side of the falls. Okay, I didn't know that. Andrew said it's nice to have a live stream before sunset. I don't know how you deal with it. I don't know how you deal with like the long day and then having the times where you have almost no daytime. Crystal said we could do another cyber field trip. I love seeing the little meetups that are popping up all over the country. That just that it is really what our vision always was to just have like this community where people could meet people, have friends, and encourage each other. And Rachel and I talk about all the time. We have never really had friends our entire lives. The few friends that I have had as an adult, they always ended up not really being friends. Like before I met Rachel, I had a group of friends. I was heavily involved in Little League, which looking back now, I was using Little League as an escape because I was very unhappy in my marriage. And so it was like my way of escaping. But I was spending like 40 hours a week on a Little League field. I mean, granted, John Paul and Anthony were both in Little League, but I was, like on the board and I was umpiring and I was the umpire in chief and I was training umpires. I was doing it all. I was the president of the Little League. And I had a group of friends that we would travel and stuff. But as soon as I met Rachel and decided I really wanted to focus on a family, and I told them that I still want to help, but I want to take back, I was presented with this, if you can't do what you were doing before, we don't need you anymore. And all of a sudden, nobody wanted to go on trips. So it kind of put like a sour note with me when it came to having friends. And so I was just like, I don't need friends. And so now that we have two crazy ketos, I can honestly say, like, I love our friendships and all of our friends are within the community. I mean, again, going on cruises and stuff, it's as much as Rachel and I are looking forward to going on Star of the Seas next month. She was talking yesterday about like she's more excited to go on the 2KK cruise in December than to go on a brand new ship that literally I think is launching this weekend. And she's more excited for the 2KK cruise because we get to hang out with everybody. Mary said, Joe, you and Rachel are the friend facilitator. That we just wanted community and we never envisioned that like our closest friends would be in this community. Sean said, so with Rachel away, what is your go-to meal for one? Ground beef. I ate a whole bunch of ground beef. I ate about 1.5 pounds of ground beef today. I had some eggs. I'm it's no different than when Rachel's around. Very, very simple. I've been working on a recipe video today that if Rachel gets home early enough tomorrow, we're going to try to film it tomorrow. Super excited for this one because it is one of our favorite foods, and we found a new way to cook it. After we went to we there's this one restaurant, I don't want to give away too much, but there's this one restaurant that we love to go to, and one of the they call it an appetizer, but I use it as an entree. One of the things is probably one of my favorite foods, and we have been working on how to make that at home for a couple of months, and I finally perfected it. And so the last thing I had to do is work on the little sauce that goes on top, and I'm super excited about it. So I did eat a bunch of that as well today. Annette said our Pacific Northwest summers have daylight from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's a long eating window. Yeah, I wouldn't eat that far because again, I would not eat for 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed, which is one of my biggest problems. Andy said Susan and I are your friend. Love Sisberg time with you guys. I don't know. I'm assuming that's a misspell with you guys, and love that you are interested in us. We love you guys. I mean, again, I cannot wait to see you guys and get my hugs from you. Um, we love this community. Aaron said I umpire and I love it. I loved umpiring. I was very good at it. I was blessed to be able to do the Little League World Series. The What happened though was I was doing umpiring, and then I had gotten into football pretty early on. One of my friends who I umpired with, who was on the board with me, he got me into football. I did football, and then my crew chief in football was the assigner for lacrosse. And he kept trying to get me to do lacrosse, and I just did not think I could do it because of my ankle. And he's like, come out and try it. And I fell in love with officiating lacrosse. I played lacrosse in school, but I fell in love with officiating lacrosse, and in the high school season for lacrosse and baseball at the same time of the year. So I had to make a decision. I didn't want to do like what some people do, where they do like one sport 2 days a week and the other sport 2 or 3 days a week. I'd like to focus on the one so that I'm not like in back and forth in a mindset like that. And so I decided to do lacrosse because number one, it paid more money. Number two, the association wasn't a good old boys club. When I did baseball, the high school association was like a good old boys club. And I remember like I would get these games, and it would be like, a private school against a really bad public school, and it's 14-0 in the second inning, and you have to play 5 innings, and the games were taking 3.5 hours for $55. And I finally just said to the assigner, if you're not going to give me good games, then I don't want to work varsity. Just give me a JV game because it's 2 hours, no new inning, and it was only $5 less. So the thing about lacrosse was it paid a little bit more, and the games were shorter. They were all, an average lacrosse game is only an hour and a half. But the bigger thing is I moved more. And so, it's a much more fast-paced game. You're always doing something. And I fell in love with officiating the sport. And, during lacrosse season, when I was living in Fort Lauderdale, I was doing 12 to 14 games a week because I absolutely loved doing the game. Lady Francis said, looking forward to that recipe. Ground beef is my go-to also. Yeah, I just defrosted more ground beef and ground pork. I like to mix them up. Terry said, yesterday's lunch was ground beef, sugar-free sauce, and ricotta cheese for the win yesterday. Great suggestion, Joe. Yeah, that is probably one of my favorite things. Take ground pork, ground beef, mix them all up, and then, like, I don't put any spices in other than a little bit of salt in there. And then whenever I want to make it, I will just, like, take that, and I can add taco seasoning or whatever I want. But my go-to is using like Rayo's like tomato sauce or any sugar-free tomato sauce and ricotta cheese, and it's literally like eating a lasagna in a bowl. John said I'm about to air fry some lamb chops. John's a question: if it is the snails, do you figure out how to make the snail app from the cruise? No, we're not making the snails. They're pretty easy to make, but it's not worth it to me. Vicky said, I don't have a question. I want to thank you and Rachel for all of the knowledge and encouragement you give to all of us. Thank you very much. Sandy said, speaking of baseball, did you catch the games Jen Powell is in the Marlins versus the Braves series? She did great. No, I did. I don't watch professional sports at all. I did for a long time. I was a season ticket holder for the Mets when I lived in New York. I was a season ticket holder for the Knicks. When I moved to Florida, I was a season ticket holder for the Dolphins and then even for the Marlins for a while. I got turned off by professional sports, especially like here in Florida, when they were like selling off the team, not putting out a good product, and then doubling and tripling the cost. I mean, when I had season tickets for the Dolphins, you got 3 seats. I was in the first row in the upper deck, and I had 3 seats and a parking pass for $700 a year. You can't get 1 seat for that anymore. And then you add into the fact that these players, they, in my opinion, don't put their heart into it. And so I got more into watching college ball, and then I got into really only watching high school because college kind of became the same thing. So I don't watch any pro sports at all. I couldn't even tell you like who won the World Series last year. I know that there is a female umpire now, but I don't watch any professional sports anymore. Nancy said, Joe, I treasure you and Rachel and all the friends that I have found through this community. Other than my keto friends, I have no friends. That is us. Stephanie said, hello, been listening. Congrats on the new grandbaby. I missed the gender. Excuse me, another girl. Yep, it is another girl. Her name is Parker. So, okay, I'm going to get off because I'm losing my voice because I have to do all the talking. And I've been working on the house and videos and everything all day. We really appreciate you guys for joining us. Rachel will be back live on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Hopefully she'll get home tomorrow and we can work on that other video. And then we have a couple of other things we're working on, but we really appreciate you guys. If you haven't watched that video for the unboxing, go ahead and watch it and then go over to the Mighty Networks group. Join Mighty Networks if you're not in Mighty Networks already. But go just do a search for the KetoChow giveaway, and then you can just click on that little link to sign up for the giveaway. Everybody have a good night. Bye.